Well, good afternoon and welcome. My name is Mark Daniels, Director of Broadcasting and Radio Voice at UCF. We want to thank all of you for joining us this afternoon for a very special occasion. As we go through our press conference this afternoon, you'll hear from several individuals, and then after the initial introduction, a chance to ask questions. For those that have a question, we ask that you please raise your hand, and Dan Forcella will go around and recognize you. Dan will hold the microphone, and you're welcome to ask your question. Special day at UCF, and to tell you more about why we're all gathered here today, please welcome the president of the University of Central Florida, Dr. Cartwright.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mark. It's nothing worse than following a great speaker than following someone with a great voice. So it's good to be here. Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here with Knight Nation, and I'm certainly excited to welcome Gus and Christy Malzahn to our UCF family as our next head football coach. Great to have you here. I also want to take this time to thank our new Vice President and Director of Athletics, Terry Mohajer, who jumped in quickly to identify and recruit Gus as our right coach for the future of UCF football. One of the main goals that I've had since becoming president has been to build a strong leadership team that will help build a culture of trust, engagement, and accountability. And our ability to continue to attract top leaders across our institution is a testament to our people and our incredible potential. And I know Gus is committed to building on that momentum on and off the field. As I mentioned last week, we've come a long way in a short time because of the hard work and dedication of our student athletes, staff, donors, and fans. And the great part to this is I believe we're just beginning, and we're going to keep getting better. So go Knights and charge on. And with that, I'd love to invite our wonderful Vice President and Director of Athletics, Terry Mohajer.
Got notes everywhere, so bear with me on this. I apologize from all kinds of different things. Thank you, Dr. Cartwright. Appreciate it. Thank you for your trust in me in this process. It was real challenging. You can imagine being here for less than 48 hours and conducting a football search, but I feel like I was the right person to do it at the right time, and I feel very comfortable with the results. Wanted to thank just a couple of acknowledgments I want to make real quick. Turnkey, Chad Chatlos, with his help in the process. Obviously, Alex Cartwright was very instrumental. I do have to acknowledge Randy Shannon, his interim position. He has done a fantastic job working with the players, keeping them calm, making sure everybody's going to be okay. Just one quick thing about Randy. I never really knew Randy, but I knew of Randy. We're basically the same age, although he looks about 10 years younger than I do. I get it. But he is, in all of my times in this business, I have never heard one person say anything negative about him. And he is a constant professional, and he's done a fantastic job in his career and carrying himself in this. He is an outstanding role model for our young people. So thank you, Randy, for your time. And obviously, I also want to thank Josh Heifel for his work here and his work with our players and his contributions to the program. Okay, the search process. I'm not going to go long here. You don't want to hear from me. The search process. So when I found out I was going to get in this job, I was offered this job, I started looking into, last Sunday night, started looking in people and candidates. And I was really excited about the opportunities. With the help of the search firm that was already enlisted, of course, I added some of my names as well. I was really eager to get started. But first and foremost, the thing I wanted to do was to talk to the players. And as you guys know, when I was introduced to my press conference, the first thing I asked Dr. Cartwright to do is, can I please meet with the players? Because I knew this was going to go fast, and I knew it was going to be important for me to hear what they were saying. And I asked them, I said, look, when I met with the team, and then I met with the leadership council, I asked them, I said, look, I don't want you to get married to any one person. I want you to tell me what we need to get better at. And they did a great job. I was very proud of them, how professional they were, and explaining to me what they were looking for. So after talking to the players and learning more about what they wanted, it was clear to me that they wanted to get back to championship caliber football. Very clear. They wanted to have championship caliber football, but also they wanted somebody to get to know them and love them as people and not just football players as well. And that was really important. They also expressed they wanted a high-power offense. You can imagine that. High-power offense, but also plays complementary football, which allows the defense to not necessarily be on the field for a long time, which is really important. We needed a coach that aligned with our values, my values, the university's values, and our core principles of developing conference championships on the playing surface, in this case, the field, and beyond, while helping young people pursue the American dream by giving them a chance to change their circumstances for life through education, degree, and a job. Based on the timing, we needed experience. We needed an experienced person to hit the ground running, to hire a strength coach. First and foremost, I know coach is going to be working on that. Coordinators and a staff. This coach has won at every level, from rural high school in Arkansas to the Sun Belt title, to the SEC title on the biggest stage. Played for the national championship, 13 seconds from winning a national championship. He's coached Heisman Trophy winners. He has relationships with Fortune 50 CEOs, Fortune 50 CEOs, player development, getting a job, job placement, grad school placement. Stats, just a couple stats, and I'm not doing this justice, really, truly. Long list of accomplishments, as you can imagine. We'll just look at the last conference he was in. As we know, is probably arguably the best conference in all of college football. Bowl series, he led Auburn to a bowl championship series, a national championship game in 2013. First of his 8 straight years in qualifying for a bowl. 8 years as head coach at his previous institution. He also led the Tigers to the Southeast Conference Championship, 2 SEC West Division titles, 6 New Year's Bowls, and 8 postseason appearances. He was consensus National Coach of the Year in 2013 and a lot of other personal accolades as coaching. In 8 seasons at Auburn, 32 players were selected in the National Football League, including 4 in the first round that were draft picks. In the last 2 rounds, 12 Auburn players have been drafted, the most at Auburn in a 2-year span in the common draft era. He's coached 14 All-Americans as a head coach, and a consistent selection center and defensive lineman. As offensive coordinator, he coached Heisman Trophy winner Cam Newton. So as we were looking at the football accolades, obviously we knew that we could infuse this program with not only as our brand continues to emerge nationally, having a national brand coach to marry with is also very important. One of the things that I really liked about him was his high school experience. He was a teacher for 15 years. Being able to communicate to our players and teach. The purest form of coaching is high school coaching, because you can't recruit. You got to make a 150-pound guard a 150-pound guard. You probably did that, right? So you know what? And he won he won multiple state championships at different high schools. So I believe that he's the right guy at the right time to lead this program. Not only do I believe that he's the best college football coach in the state of Florida now, I believe he'll put together one of the best staffs in America. It's time to rise again. I want to introduce your new head coach, Gus Malzahn. Well, I guess we...
All right, here we go.
Yeah, there you go. I get my mask on, sorry. Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh,
Okay, all right. Appreciate that introduction, Terry. I'm extremely honored to be here. Very excited. I've been coaching 30 years, and I truly believe this is one of the most excited moments I've had in my whole career. I'm honored to be the head football coach here at UCF and be a part of the Night Nation. First of all, I'd like to thank my wife, Christy. We've been married over 30 years. She's like, we do this thing together, and she deserves a lot of credit through the course of everything, even getting us to this moment. And she's been the team mom. I got a chance to visit with the team earlier, introduced her, and we do this thing together. And so I really appreciate Christy and everything that she does. And I know she's looking forward to meeting our boosters and our fans also. I'd like to thank President Cartwright. I really look forward to working with you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. And then, of course, Terry. Terry's a big reason I'm here. Terry's a guy that I've worked with before. We won a championship together, and so just very excited to be working with him with this new opportunity. So why UCF for me? I've had a lot of respect for the program for a long period of time. I was telling Terry during the interview process, the last 5 years, from time to time, I would tell our staff that, you know, if the right guy ever got to UFC UCF, if the right guy ever got there and would stay there and build it, everybody else would be in trouble. I feel like I'm that right guy. And, you know, I truly believe that this is a program of the future in college football. And the reason I believe that is the foundation's been built with the players before, with the coaches that have been here before, and I think it's in a great shape, and I'm excited to be a part. Our goals are going to be pretty simple. It's to win championships, to get in the college football playoffs, and you know, we're excited about that, and then to play in New Year's Six bowl games. You know, offensively, you heard Terry, you know, talk to the players about wanting explosive offense, and we're going to have that. I have experience in this league. I was at Tulsa, I think, in 2007, 2008. We were the #1 offense in the country 2 years in a row. We had a quarterback threw for 5,000 yards. I think we had 3 1,000-yard receivers and a 1,000-yard rusher. And, of course, the next year we threw for 4,000. So I've got experience in this league. We can continue to build on the high-flying offense that we have, and our goal to be in the top 10. Defensively, we're going to be multiple. We're going to be aggressive. Our goal to be in the top 10 defense, too. For the last 5 years at the previous school I was at, we were in the top 15. And I really believe if you're going to truly win a championship, you've got to play championship defense. It can't just be offense. That's what I told our players today, and really excited about that. I'll be working hard in the next, hopefully, week to get our staff in place. We're going to put together a great staff. The first thing I told our players is I'm going to get coaches that are going to be great examples for our players. What a great dad looks like, what a great husband looks like. Also told them I'm going to get coaches that truly care about them as a person and invest in their life, not just football. Because I believe, you know, when I had coaches and they truly cared about me, they got the most out of me. And then we're going to have coaches that develop these guys on the field. Nobody's going to work harder than us. And then the last thing is we're going to put together a staff of great recruiters. You know, we're going to recruit Florida like nobody else. We're going to recruit like our hair is on fire. We're going to go after the best players in America, and we're not backing down to anybody. We've got a lot to offer here, and we're going to put together a staff that will be able to do that. And, you know, what I was telling Terry in the interview process, the unique thing about this, the last 8 years, the footprint that we'll be recruiting in, I've already got experience. I already know the top players, I already know the coaches and everything that goes on. Florida will be our priority, but we'll also recruit Georgia, we'll recruit Alabama, and we'll recruit South Carolina. Now, if we have relationships outside of certain players, we will, but we're going to spend our most of our time within a 6-hour circle. And so I'm very excited about the opportunity as far as that goes. But that's really the what's on my mind, and so I'll open up to questions right now.
Coach Braden Hill at Rivals.com. Just can you expand a little bit more of your perspective of UCF through the years? I know you talked about your time at Tulsa. I know you came here in 2007 when there was a conference championship game. What do you kind of remember about those early days facing UCF?
Yeah, that's a good question. I do have some extended time of experience. In 2007, we came here, played in the conference championship. And I just remember the stadium was rocking, and they had a great team, not just offensively, but great defensive line, great defensive backs. And so that was my first experience. We played them again the next year at Tulsa, and they had another really good team. And then obviously everybody knows 2017, we had a very, very good football team, and they got after us, and they made a really good impression. And of course, I'm familiar with Coach Frost already, have a lot of respect for him and what he did here. And so the combination of those experiences and just being in this area and recruiting this area for 8 years, really it's 11 years because I was a coordinator at Auburn before 8 years as head coach, and just knowing that the situation here and knowing the potential here. And that's what really got me excited, because before even Terry was hired, I was interested. And, I was, we had 8 weeks just to kind of reflect. And until this job come open, I was pretty set on setting out a year and just kind of refreshing and getting ready. When this job come open, I told my wife that this is one we're going to be very interested in. And then when Terry got the athletic director, I mean, it was one that I wanted a full court press. And, so when he offered the job, and it was like, I'm in. There wasn't no thinking about, I got to talk to no. And extremely excited when I was offered the job.
Hey, Coach, Mike Bianchi from the Orlando Sentinel.
Hey, Mike.
Why not sit out a year, wait for a quote-unquote Power 5 job? And you also said the right person gets this job and stays and builds it.
Yeah.
It sounds like you plan on staying a while.
Yeah, there's no doubt. This is a job that I would say that I've been interested in a long time. Just looking at the big picture as coaches and looking ahead. You say, best non-Power 5 job. We need to change the narrative. This is going to be one of the best programs in college football in a short period of time. And at times they've been that way. And so that's another goal of mine, as far as that goes. But, this is a job that I'm planning on being here and building it. And like I said, that's what really makes me tick. Now, you ask about, well, why did you set out for a power? This, to me, is one of the top 20 coaching jobs in all of college football, okay? And before this thing came open, I was set on setting out. But I will say this. I've been coaching 30 years. This is, I guess it was 8 weeks that got a chance to kind of sit back, reevaluate things. It took me about a week to figure out that, yes, I want to coach again. And then when this opportunity came, I was ready. And I really believe, and I told Terry this, that they're getting the best Gus Malzahn coach of any time in my career, from the fact that I had 8 weeks to reflect, refresh, kind of evaluate too, and to be better the next time you do it. And so that's when I tell you at the very first that I'm one of the most excited I've been in my whole coaching career. It's legit.
Andrea Adelson with ESPN. Gus, there was some criticism at the end at Auburn just about the offense not putting up the types of numbers you're used to. Do you feel like here at UCF you now have something to prove that you do have the type of offense that can put up big, prolific numbers and have success? Yeah,
and I think at times, when we were at Auburn, we had some of the top offenses in college football. Last year, obviously, we were the least experienced team in our league, and that had something to do with it. But to answer your question, I've always got a chip on my shoulder and something to prove. And like I said, I've been in this league too. I think that's important that you kind of understand. And so, yeah, we will definitely have a high-powered offense. We will build upon what we've done and been successful here with, and we'll build it around our quarterback. And so there's no doubt in my mind, we're going to have one of the best offenses in all of college football.
All right, Coach, we're going to go to a Zoom question here from Pete Thamel. Hopefully this works.
Okay. All right, Pete.
Gus, I hope this works. Can you hear me?
I got you.
All right. Gus, you mentioned the 8 weeks of reflection. Could you please dial in a little bit on what you looked at and what you plan to change and evolve when anyone hits a crossroads like you did?
Yeah.
They tend to come back with different thoughts, different ideas, and My quick dovetailing to that would be if you could just say if you're going to call it plays or not, which I think is probably part of the whole calculus.
Well, I'm going to answer that. Definitely, I'm going to call plays. I'll call plays the rest of my career. That's what I love to do. That's what I'm good at, and that's what got me here. To answer your question, the first week, you get in a routine that you get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, you go to bed at midnight or 1 o'clock, and you do that for 30 years, and all of a sudden your alarm clock doesn't go off on a Monday. The first week was a little bit awkward. It was really good. Probably after that first week, it was more of a chance just to kind of reflect on the whole career and spend time with my family, not having that pressure of a job to go with it, and truly have some true communication. I know me and Christy, it was 8 straight weeks that we've never done that every single day. We talked about that last night, and so that was good. And I've got 2 grandkids. I got a chance to spend time with them, and I got 2 daughters and spend time. And so, but it was after that first week that it really came that, yes, I do want to coach again. And then you look at the things that you did successful, and you look at the things that you wish you would have done better. And so when I told Terry that he's fixing to get the best Gus Malzahn of my coaching career, it's because of that self-evaluation. Because when you're in the moment, you're thinking about the next decision you got to make. And so I think it's a true blessing that after 30 years I was able to sit back and reflect. And I know when Terry offered me the job last night, I was on cloud 9. And me and Christy got a big hug in the living room right there, and so it's good time.
Gus, Matt Rochelle from the Orlando Sentinel. You said you talked with the players today. What was their reaction, and what did you kind of glean from that conversation that maybe get you a little excited about the job?
Yeah, it was great to meet with them. I just wanted to give them a little bit about me. I told them my first priority is to get to know them individually. Tomorrow we'll start one-on-one meetings. I'll probably do that 3 or 4 days straight, just so they can get to know me as a person, not just a coach, and me get to know them. I told them that we're going to hire a staff, and I'm going to try to do it quick, but the main thing I told them is we're going to hire coaches that truly care about them as people. And they're going to be great developers and all that. I told them that this is going to be the future top program, and this is the program of the future, and buckle up, and we're going to build on what they've done before, and we're going to take that next step. So I was pretty brief, and then I kept the leadership team afterwards, and I kind of told them a little bit more about my story and a little bit more in detail, and I asked them some questions too. I wanted to get some feedback from them to give me an understanding of kind of where they're at, and just told them we're going to try to hire staff within a week. Obviously, we got spring practice coming up probably within somewhere around 30 days, so we got a lot of moving parts. We're going to have to work really quick, together.
Hey, Gus, Adam Shadow from Fox 35. I have a couple of very important related questions. Have you found a Waffle House here, and how did that whole thing come about? And are you addicted to chewing gum, and what's that all about?
Well, first of all, the Waffle House. Okay, so when we'd win a game back in high school, me and Christy would go to the Waffle House. So when we got in college football, we said, college football ain't going to change us. So after every win, we did get a tweet last night from one of our fans that they said there's a Waffle House real close. So I thought that was real positive. And as far as the chewing gum, so yeah, if we're in rhythm and we're playing really good, I'll probably go through about 40 pieces a game. I'll have a guy behind me that kind of goes back in, and it usually takes about game 3 before my jaw really gets in shape and it isn't sore the next morning. So yeah, I'll continue that, and you'll see if we're doing well, I'm gonna chew that gum, and we're gonna chew a lot of it.
Coach Brian Murphy, Black and Gold Banner Red. How would you characterize your relationship with Terry Mohajir? And although you said you wanted this job before he was even hired here,
yeah,
how much does his presence impact your ability to be here?
Yeah, it's huge. It was a game changer for me. It went from, man, I'm really interested to I really want that job. I mean, that's how it went. And I got a phone call, I guess it was last Sunday, hey, would you be interested? And after that, I just started doing my homework on everything. And being aligned, to be at the top of the top, you have to be aligned. And what I'm excited about is doing it together with Terry. I mean, we know each other. We already got a relationship. We've won a championship together. When I was asking him questions about his vision for the program, they aligned. and just that excitement that we're, to do it together with our coaches and our president, and so it feels really good.
Coach, we've got another Zoom question, this time from Andy Staples.
Hey, Gus, you mentioned you're calling plays, and you'll do it again for the rest of your career. I know it was something that you went back and forth at with Auburn. How soon into that kind of self-evaluation that you were doing over those 8 weeks did you say, that's what I'm doing, I will always call plays from here on out?
Yeah, that's a good question. It was probably about, at first it was more about not the X's and O's. It was probably 3 or 4 weeks in that I started really focusing on the X's and O's and evaluating all that. But it's just the passion and the love, what I love to do. And, I'll be hiring a quarterback coach, and we're going to get a great one that has a history to develop quarterbacks. But I'm very excited to do that. And that's what I'm looking forward to doing.
Gus, John Alba, Spectrum News 13. First off, welcome to Orlando. Terry said it, and you kind of hit on it as well, that they're looking for a coach who's going to appeal to them as human beings, not just as football players. Why are you the right person for that, and how do you plan on incorporating the community in that sense into the program as well?
Yeah, I think it probably goes back to being a high school football coach. I'm not your average college coach. I really try to take the business side out and really focus on the personal relationship. And, kids these days, it's more important now than it was probably even 5 years ago. Kids have changed the last 5 years, and you have to have that personal relationship with them to get the most out of them and to make them the best they can be. And so that's it. And just as far as we're just extremely excited to get out in the community. Like I said, I'm a former high school coach, a former AD. Me and Christy, we'll be at the basketball games. We'll be at the baseball games. We went to the gymnasium. We will be a part of the community. That's what's the fun thing for us. And looking forward just to meeting our donors and our fans.
Coach, question on Zoom from Ralph Russo.
Congratulations, Gus. You talked about this job being what really caught your attention in that month or so that you were, or a couple of months that you've been out. Had you gotten contacted by anybody else about other jobs? Did you reach out to anybody about some of the openings that may have come up, even if it was just after that week and you decided you wanted to get back into it? Was there any contact between you and others, maybe just your agent, from some of the things that were open?
Yeah, I think the best way to answer that, nothing serious at all as far as that goes. This was, like I said earlier, this was the game changer for me. And didn't know it was going to come open, okay? So when I say that I was pretty dead set on, setting out a year, possibly doing some TV, that was on my mind. But when this opened up, that changed everything for me.
Hey, Coach. Darren Stoltzfus, West 2 here. You've dealt with fanatic fans, obviously, at Auburn, but do you have a good grasp of the pressure cooker you're walking into here?
I love expectations. I'm a dreamer. I want our players to dream. I want our fans to dream. And when you put expectations, that's the fun part. I don't want a job that doesn't have expectations to win a championship. That's not me. And I love the fact that, kind of like I said, the foundation's built. There's been some really good success. And it just needs to be kind of that next step in that consistency. And that's what I'm here for.
Jason Beatty, 24/7 Sports. You mentioned hiring the staff within a week or two, or however that works out. And Terry mentioned Randy Shannon before. Have you talked with him before, and what is that relationship like, and what do you think about Randy Shannon?
Yeah, I'm very familiar with Randy in the past. I've got a lot of respect for him as a person, as a coach. We talked briefly earlier. I will have a talk with him. I'm not for sure where that's going to lead, but I do have a relationship and a lot of respect for him.
Coach, question on Zoom from Dennis Dodd.
Hey, Gus, congratulations.
Thank you, Dennis.
This program went undefeated in 2017, and I think finished 12th in the college football playoff rankings. Not to toot your own horn, but could your presence alone make that get you guys closer to a playoff berth?
Dennis, I'm hoping so. I also think it has, me and Terry have talked briefly about strategically things to help, schedule a top 10 opponent, in non-conference and beat them. That'll help too. That's something, obviously, me and Terry will be working together on figuring out strategically. We're going to do everything in our power, all right, as a program to give our guys a chance to do that. And I truly believe we will be in the Final Four in a short period of time.
Hey, Coach Mike Bianchi again. When UCF beat you guys in the Peach Bowl in that 2017 season, did you think they deserved to be in the playoff? You guys had beaten Alabama and Georgia that year. Also, did that wake you up to the potential of this job?
I'll say this. They were one of the best teams in all of college football that year. I mean, we played, all the other big boys, and they beat us. And they got after us. I mean, it wasn't like a fluke. I think they outplayed us that day. Did it get my attention? As a coach, when you're playing a bowl game, you're watching so much film, you've got a really good idea if they're pretty good or they're really not. And after about probably 30 minutes of watching film, I knew they were really good. And I told our players, and then people say, well, were you motivated? Yeah, we were motivated. I mean, it was a New Year's Six bowl game. They beat us. So, they were one of the best teams in all of college football that year, I believe. And they weren't just good on offense. They were very good on defense. And that kind of also gets in my mind, like, you can play great defense here. And that's going to be one of my top priorities as head coach. Yeah, I'm an offensive guy, but if we're truly going to have a chance to make the Final Four, we're going to play great defense. And so that will be one of my priorities.
Andrea Adelson with ESPN. We're talking about offense, obviously the quarterback here, Dylan Gabriel, coming back. How important is your conversation with him going to be in terms of making sure this is a place that he wants to be the leader of your offense?
Yeah, I've got a lot of respect for him. Of course, I've watched film on him and, of course, watched throughout the year just watching college football, and I'm big time impressed. I'm looking forward to working with him and looking forward to developing that relationship, and, I'm very excited about him.
Coach, Zoom question from Pat 40.
Okay.
Gus, you mentioned playing a top 10 opponent non-conference. Would you be willing to play without a home-and-home return game, or what would be your approach to that sort of scheduling?
I'll play out in the parking lot, all right? Terry can decide if we're playing at home or on the road or two for whatever. I mean, I just want to play him, and I want to beat him.
Yes, Matt Rochelle again from the Orlando Sentinel. You mentioned how when the UCF job came open, you thought this was it. This is the one I'm going to go for. Before Terry reached out to you, were you thinking of campaigning for it? Were you thinking maybe reaching out to him maybe to tell him you're interested in the job?
Well, I think anytime you're interested, you let your agent know and that they start the process. So it was probably as simple as that. But the first time, I got contacted was, by Terry when he got the job to see if I'd be interested. And that was a fairly short conversation.
Zoom question from Brandon Marcello.
Hey, Gus.
Hey, Brandon.
Hey, man. I was wondering, you talking a lot about taking the program to the next step and getting to a national championship. What does that involve? Do you need to improve the schedule to get the attention of the playoff committee, or is it as simple as just continuing to win and go undefeated at UCF? What do you have to do differently there to get to that?
Well, Brandon, I think we got a lot of information now of, what a non-Power 5 needs to do to have a chance to be in that conversation. And, I think it's scheduling. One thing that me and Terry talked about is, trying to get a top 10 opponent in non-conference play, and you got to beat them. And then you get in your conference. And the thing about the conference here, I mean, there's some top teams. There's some top teams, I believe, in the country. You look at the final, top 25, and there was some teams in our conference that were up there. So I think that helps too. So when you add that you can see the conference going up, then you have a big-time non-conference. I mean, here's the deal. You can't just play them. You got to beat them. And so the strategy with that, and that's what I'm excited to work with Terry on that and get that plan put together.
Coach Brandon Hellwig, Rivals.com. Obviously, the playoff is 4 teams for now. I know there's talk in future years. They talk about possible expansion. Would you be supportive of that? That would maybe help a program like UCF get in the playoff. And on a similar note, UCF claimed a national championship after beating your team in the Peach Bowl. Did you support that claim?
Well, we were pretty good. And they beat us, and we beat another team that was pretty good. So I don't know. As far as, what was your first question? You kind of threw me off there now. I knew that was coming. I should have been a lot more prepared for that, to be honest with you. So go ahead and give me that first part.
You're just expanding the playoff in a few years.
Yeah.
Four for
Yeah,
now, but
yeah.
you're talking extending.
Yeah, and Terry, being on the committee, probably knows a whole lot more about that. But I know me, and it was way before I got here, is I've thought for a long time 8 would be a better number. And, you know, you see how college football goes. There's some big-time bowl games now that get overlooked because everybody focuses on that. And then, you know, there's always number 5, 6, 7, 8 that would probably have a chance to win the whole thing. So in the future, me being a former high school coach and having semifinals and quarterfinals, I'm all for it. Not just because I'm here, okay? That was even when I was at the last job.
Back to Zoom with Trace Trilco.
Welcome, Coach. Trace Trilco, Sons of UCF. How much of a gap do you see between the Power 5 and the so-called Group of 5?
I think the top echelon teams and the non-Power 5 are right there. I mean, like I said, I've got experience playing, playing UCF in a New Year's Six bowl game and getting beat. So I don't think there's a whole lot of, matter of fact, I know there's not a lot of distance between the top non-Power 5 teams, especially this one.
Coach, last one here from Andy Staples again.
Andy?
I'm here. I'm working on my mute stuff. You're literally the guy who wrote the book on the hurry-up, no-huddle offense. But now you're actually going to a place where they ran in a much faster tempo than you have. Has that changed for you? And I'm wondering, during that period of self-evaluation, did you think about, how your offense has evolved and what tweaks you may bring to UCF? Yeah,
there's no doubt as far as the tweaks, and being cutting edge and being creative. And, that's definitely something that stood out. And, you say that I think it's a perfect fit from the standpoint that the program's been cutting edge offensively. And, obviously I wrote a book back on it. So I think it's a great marriage and very excited to keep the thing going and then taking that next step.
We want to thank Coach for the Q&A opportunity. If anybody has any questions for Terry, we'll give the media a chance. Please put your hand up and Dan will bring the microphone over. Thank you, Coach.
Hey, thank you.
Hey, Terry, Mike Bianchi, Orlando Sentinel. Did you, would you be willing to share how many people you did actually interview?
I talked to several, no, I just really don't. I always keep the search process pretty confidential. Dr. Cartwright was very involved. Obviously, the search firm that he hired was involved in the process, and one other key individual. But that's pretty much it. I really don't, because I don't, it doesn't really matter. I talked to a bunch, and I did a lot of research on a lot of, and I will tell you this. There was a lot of people that were interested in this job. This is a fantastic job, and people were really excited.
Terry.
Yes.
Ryan Walsh, WKMG here in Orlando. Do you share Gus's philosophy in terms of, look, we'll play him in the parking lot if need be? Can you get a top 10 team to come to the bounce house? Would you do a home and home? What was your scheduling philosophy?
100%. I share that philosophy. I always have, always will. In order to be the best, you have to play the best. And you have to play the best, and you have to beat the best. So in order to beat the best, you got to play them, right? So sometimes you have to play people on their terms if you want an opportunity for that. And I've had experience in that. I'm a guy that scheduled Miami Hurricanes home and home in Northeast Arkansas. So it's just a way of communicating. Now, what's going to happen in the next few years? I don't know. It could be timing, but I think being creative in your scheduling. I will tell you this. If it is a 2-for-1, if that ever happens, that one's going to have to be in the bounce house. It's going to have to be there. So, unless there's something that's really unique and it creates some really financial opportunities for us, just a straight up. I had a philosophy in my previous place that I wouldn't do 2-for-1s either. My 2-for-1s were a bye and then a home and home. That's my 2-for-1s. So, but yeah, no, we'll look at any opportunity that gives us an opportunity to put our players and our coaches in the best possible light to compete for New Year's Six and a Final Four.
Terry Adams, shout out Fox 35. Yeah. How much did your previous relationship with Gus go into this hire, and is it fair to say that he was on your list even before the search committee?
Well, I wasn't sure. That's why I called him. So, I mean, I just wanted to see, I wanted to get an opportunity to rule him out or not. So that Sunday, I think it was Sunday, I called you that Sunday night when I knew I was getting the job. He was on my first calls, and I said, hey, would you have any interest? Just want to make sure. Because, I was, to be very candid, we had those conversations about, hey, you went through something that's pretty traumatic. And are you ready to get back in? Are you okay? And he's like, oh, he goes, you better believe it, man. I could just feel the fire through the phone. The fire, and I think Dr. Cartwright could too when he talked to him. So that's all that was said. That was enough for me. And then we went through the process. It was funny because he said to me, he's like, well, we're gonna be meeting with you. We got a little some folks that are gonna interview you. And he's like, you know what? I haven't interviewed since high school. I haven't interviewed for a job since high school. This is the first interview process he's been through. So he wasn't really sure how to do it. So it was kind of funny. But yeah, we were really excited when and then, you know what? But we gave everybody an honest evaluation. We interviewed him. It wasn't, it was, he earned this job in the interview based on what he said.
Terry, we got a Zoom question from Pat 40.
Terry, you actually alluded to it. You said you could feel the fire through the phone. I guess I'm wondering what your sense was from Gus about his excitement to get back into the job.
Well, I had in my previous place, I hired a coach that also had a similar situation. He sat out, and so that was real sensitive to that, to make sure that he was ready. There was some talks, and when we worked together before, he talked about some time that he might do TV, and I wanted to make sure. And, but it was just, I could feel it. I really could. And when we met with him a couple of times, we did a preliminary qualifying, make sure he was good and all that kind of stuff. And then I introduced him as one of the finalists to Dr. Cartwright, like I told you I was going to do. And he could feel it too. And there was no doubt about it in my mind.
Brian Murphy, Black and Gold Banner Red. We talked a lot about Coach Malzahn's accolades, his wins, the offensive numbers he's put up. Yeah. But in terms of his personality, his general composition as a person, how does he fit this program and to lead to the next era?
Well, it was, like I said in my introduction, is that, he's very driven, very rhythmic. I watched him at my previous institution for a while when I was hired. I sat in meeting rooms when he was going through his progressions and schematics with his staff. I really enjoyed that. And we talked a lot about it. And I shared with him some of the things that the students shared with me, student athletes shared with me when I met with them on Wednesday. And I said, it's really important. I'm aligned with what they're saying. It's important for you to be aligned. And he said, there's no doubt about it. We need to do that. And he even said, and I don't mind him saying, he says, I've evolved. I've evolved. He goes, when I first got to my previous job, I've evolved. I've changed. With going through some of the social issues and all that kind of stuff, you have to. And that was refreshing. And that was refreshing for me because I've evolved. We've all evolved in this business while we got into it and what we're doing with student athletes. When we got into the business, we didn't have phones and, cell phones and all that stuff. And now the social media, we've got there's a lot more anxiety. There's a lot more mental health issues with our students than ever before. And the pressure that they feel every single day to be high performers is something that we have to take very seriously. And we talked about that, and I believe we were aligned.
Terry, Matt Rochelle from the Orlando Sentinel. You talked about how this job was it was an attractive job. You had your own list, but did other people reach out to you maybe once you took over the job that were interested in this job as well?
Yeah, I had a lot of people listen. I have 650 text messages. So I have a lot of people recommending, interested, everywhere from NFL to collegiate sitting head coaches to coordinators to, as you can imagine, there was a lot of interest. Really, this is a tribute to this university to UCF, the student body, the alumni. I mean, this is a fantastic place, man. This is a fantastic place. And there's no doubts about it that people view this as Gus said, a top 20 job. I don't care. Remember what I said, your levels of state of mind, and we need to find those type of people, and they believe this is a top 20 job, whether you call yourself Power or G5 or whatever it may be. Top 25, UCF. It's time to rise again.
Terry, a few more here. Zoom from Pete Thamel.
Hey, Terry, I'm on Zoom, so you can't see me.
Oh, yeah, I know. I know you look like.
I have just a question from the macro. You come and take this job, and UCF is obviously at the top of the Group of 5 tier, and one of the goals I'm sure you have for the next decade is to move it into the next tier, however realignment or such may move and look like. Could you just give me a sense of how an established coach like Gus could help you take UCF to that next step?
Well, he's a national brand. You can say, well, you know what? He's a national brand coach. He was always listed as top 10 coaches everywhere. I don't care if you are in Sacramento, California, or Syracuse, New York. You know who Gus Malzahn is in the college coaching business. And you can't say that about every candidate that I interviewed. That is for sure. And that is important because brand does matter. And with the emerging brand that we have, not only in the state of Florida, but also national brand, and marrying with another national coach brand, it's tremendous. It's a tremendous opportunity for us. So, you know what? It's I think it makes a big deal. Now, when it comes to elevating or moving or whatever stuff, be happy where you are. Only control those things that you can control. I can't control that stuff, all right? So you got to be really good to where you are. Right? Your level's your state of mind. You have to be exceptional where you are. You got to play teams and beat teams you're not supposed to beat. And we're going to continue to do that. We're going to look at those scheduling opportunities. And you know what? We're going to be the best version of we can be. And that's my goals. And if you do all that, you take care of business, and you know what? The accolades, the levels, whatever it may be, you'll grow. We'll grow as a fan base.
Andrea Adelson with ESPN, as a follow-up to that, why is it important to have a national brand coach here? UCF has already established itself, and folks here talk about how now people recognize the logo wherever they go outside of the state of Florida. So what does adding a national brand coach do?
Well, having a national brand coach is important, but you have to have a good national brand coach. And that's what we've done. We hired a good national brand that had a lot of success. Never, from my understanding, has ever had a losing season. So that's really important. So, I mean, at the end of the day, from recruiting, being able to, some of the accolades that I talked about at the very beginning of this event is really important. Players that are interested in playing in the NFL, he's obviously developed those. Heisman Trophy winners, national champions. You've been there. You want to be at the pinnacle. You know, you're constantly measuring yourself as an athlete, being a former coach. You want to play the best. You want to be at the pinnacle that everybody else is, and we have that opportunity. And hiring the best and brightest coaches available and creating a staff to put your players in that opportunity to be at that pinnacle is so important. Because you may hire some coaches that don't have the ability to develop a staff, or first of all, to attract a staff, develop a staff, and coach a staff. Remember, head coaches coach their coaches. And one of the things that people don't realize is head coaches. When I evaluate coaches, I watch how coaches get better as well, just like the players. How's your D-line coach? You know, I'm coaching my coach. That is critical. And you know what? At this time and where we are in our program, you know, having somebody that had head coaching experience that put together a staff is paramount. In my mind, right now, some other time down the road, I don't know. It just depends on where we are. But right now, putting together a staff and coaching your coaches is paramount.
Terry, last question here from Andy Staples on Zoom.
So, hey, Terry, you get to Arkansas State and you lose Gus, and you have a matter of months where you have to, you know, turn around and hire a new football coach and you get Brian. How did that train you for, congratulations, you got the job, now go hire a football coach?
Well, look, no one forced me to take this job. So, I mean, hey, it's my pleasure. You know, we were there, let's see, I got there in September. He left in December, and we hired a coach in 5.5 days. It was good training. It was a great experience. I mean, we hated to lose Gus, but I surely understand with his experience. And I had no ill feelings, no whatsoever. And we were in New York together when we found out. So, I mean, look, I think any time you do coaching searches, you learn. But I will also tell you this: what you think you will, what you start with and what you end up with aren't always what you expect. And so, having been a former coach and working for one of my favorite people in this business, used to be in this business, Mark D'Antonio, I used to watch recruiting film with him, and he used to always tell me, give everybody an honest day's evaluation. And anybody that came across my desk, that's why I sequestered myself for 3 days, I looked at him. I gave everybody an honest day evaluation, and this is the result we got, and I think we did a damn good job.
Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate everybody being part of it. We're going to do one more opportunity for a photo shoot. Bring Nitro up here and give those a chance to take a picture.
United.